everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another awesome Wicked Edge. I am your awesome host, your favorite Wicked Wild Child, Tiffani-Beth, and I have an awesome show for you today. I have two kick-ass people who are amazing and patient and have the best sense of humor ever, not to mention they're authors. Oh, yeah, you know me. I love my authors, and I have two of the best. I have Alicia and Michael Metz here, and they're going to tell us about their awesome books, where they came from, what their muse was, and you're going to go buy them. That's right, you are. You're going to go buy them, and you're going to read them, you're going to love them. So let's bring on my guests. Hello, Michael and Alicia.
Hello. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, we're hanging in there, and I think we even mostly managed to stay dry.
I heard...
Northern California this time of year could be a threat.
I've heard that you guys are getting some horrible rainstorms out there. As a matter of fact, some of our hosts are out in Sacramento and things, and they're also weathering the storm with you. When you guys are getting rained on, we're getting snow and ice. So we're waiting for you to kind of float by and just catch you on one of our glaciers that we built here out of snow and ice.
Sometimes, but I don't know that I miss it that much.
No, it's cold here. It's okay. I give it about a month or two, and I'll be going, well, it's 50 below zero, and you guys will be like, oh, it's 80 degrees, and I'm on the beach with a margarita, and then I'm going to have to hang up on just for principle.
That's the other end of it. We're up in the middle of the thicket waiting for it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't feel so bad.
It's actually, I think it's part of who we are, so we talk about it a little bit anyway. Just up here behind the redwood curtain. The Pacific Ocean and lots of redwood trees and probably a writer or an author under every bush, but we're good company.
You are good company. You guys are actually hysterical. Let me tell you, before we get into the book, these two are the most patient, kind people ever. As we all know, internet radio is not the kindest radio. There's a lot of technical difficulties. It's really also like AM and FM, but we get a little more technical difficulties because the internet can be a very temperamental tool. And they have been nothing but gracious and kind and so very patient. And I'm so thankful that they decided to come on my show. This is the second try. We will be having them on again due to their weather, due to our weather and technical difficulties. We're going to do a short show tonight, but I'm going to have them back because you guys are so amazing and you're so gracious and so kind, and I really want to get your book out there. Let's jump right into it. Tell our listeners about your book. What's it called? What was your muse for the book? And when did you start writing it?
Those are a lot of questions. I hope you don't expect me to remember them.
Well, let's start simple.
Well, the book is called Raven's Tears, and it is the first book in the Raven and the Iris series.
Okay.
So far, it's scripted out for 3 books, but there is some question as to whether we will be able to end it at that point or not. Maybe our readers will tell us. Maybe our readers will tell us, assuming we get some, and we hope that we do. We're calling it adult fantasy fiction, and in that we don't look away from hard life choices or uncomfortable life choices or sometimes hot and sexy life choices. Okay, so when we started, we couldn't find books like we wanted to read, so of course we decided to write some. Because we wanted the fantasy setting. You know, we wanted magic. We wanted swords. We wanted epic heroes and awesome heroines.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't necessarily feel like I didn't want to be closed out when things got intense, sexually or emotionally. I wanted to be right in there in the story with the characters in a way that I've never been able to get into when they're closing me out of some of the most intimate moments in their life. So we thought we'd try it.
I like that. I really, really like that because sometimes I think authors get a little, I guess, self-conscious, thinking, I don't want to go too far into it. I don't want to offend anybody or involved in that character, especially if you're like me and it gets really hot and heavy and steamy and you're like, oh, yeah, I like this. This is better than going out. Yeah, yeah. So I like that.
The other side of the boat is the whole issue. How many books have you picked up where it's like a fantasy world, but the plot of the characters were all created to do one thing and one thing only, and it's all a very nice, neat little package. Life really isn't like that. And this book starts right off showing how complicated that we've done this, not only at the book level, but in the world, too. These young people have got a lot to learn yet, and we don't pull away from the hard life lessons that they have in front of them with consequence. And even at the end, there isn't a nice, neat little package. The story's told, but the world goes on. It's bigger. So we rolled all of that into the story and into the fantasy world, too.
That's awesome. Now, to not give too much away, but to tease our listeners a little more, tell us a little bit more about Raven's Tears. What's kind of the plot? You know, what can the readers sink their teeth into other than being really drawn into the story? And where did you, other than wanting a book that was to your taste, where did you find the inspiration to write the book? And give us a little taste of what readers can expect.
Well, I think what inspired us most is the setting, the world of Menelon. That was something that existed long before these two characters in their story did. Michael and I are old school tabletop role-playing games.
Okay.
We played in a lot of settings under a lot of rules. I think that has informed what we decided to do with the setting and the story, but our rule one was never to let that kind of thing get in the way. So what we ended up with was two people who've made some questionable choices. One of them got dealt a pretty shit hand in life.
Mm-hmm.
The other one made some bad choices and ended up in a bad place. They're lying to themselves. They're lying to each other. They really don't know who they are, but they manage to meet and somehow fall in love anyway. And just about the time that things get serious and they're speaking all of these lovely words to each other, you know, the universe pokes up its head and says, "Oh, really? Do you mean it this time?"
Ever heard karma?
Yeah. and so the rest of
Funny, I think a lot of us have that conversation with the universe.
Pretty much. Making things worse in an attempt to make things better.
The faster they run to try and put things together, the faster they fall apart. That's pretty much where we leave book one.
So basically, it's a little bit of reality, and it actually sounds like a lot of bit of reality, and then you bring in fantasy just to kind of give it that extra, like, what's the word I'm looking for? That extra something that makes people go, I know this is fantasy, but if this can happen in reality, maybe this can happen too. Now, I've read up a little bit on Raven's Tears. I'm going to be ordering the book. You've been compared to like Dungeons and Dragons and other mainstream, very well-known role-playing novels. What sets yours apart?
A lot of things. For one thing, the world wasn't supposed to tell the story. It's a very big place in the world.
Okay.
So, and it deals with real-life issues that matter to people, whether you live in a fantasy world, a science fiction world, or our world.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that the world itself is done very differently. It's not a typical fantasy world, and it doesn't deal with the typical fantasy elements in the way that people who have played a lot of fantasy or read a lot of role-playing game fantasy novels would expect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll talk about elves and dwarves. You'll never meet one. You'll never see one. Not in this story, but you hear about them.
Right.
Even magic, it's obvious that it isn't. If you were to take somebody from our world and plant them in this story, the first thing they probably think of is technology.
We coined a term called magic tech to cover the blending of magic and technology. So, we don't have spell-casting smartphones or anything like that. That's just silly. But there are different things, like, I don't know, like light crystals, for instance, rather than using candles. Some bright mage with a little bit of power figured out how to put a little bit of energy into a crystal so it glows all the time.
It's the light bulb, but it's magic.
But it's magic.
And that isn't to say there isn't fantasy magic. There is magic. There's magic enough to probably melt the planet down. But it's way in the background from these stories. Again, the world is bigger than the story.
Well, I think we get it as you get magic as a tool. There are things that people start reaching for to make their lives easier. And then when you get into the level of high-level crime, which this book does deal with to some degree, as you get into that security arms race reflected in a fantasy setting, people who have things to protect are finding magical ways to protect their stuff. But the people who have an interest in removing that stuff from them are also finding ways to beat those protections. So I don't know if this is making any sense or not, or if it even sounds fun, but to me it reflects an escalating tension in the setting itself that can't help but come through with the characters.
To me, it sounds very intriguing because you can read books that are kind of like you. Okay, so let's take Twilight for example. Okay, you can read. I think I just lost my guess. But I'm going to pay you an awesome compliment. Take Twilight, for example. You read it. It's a cute romantic story. Yay, vampires sparkle. You roll them in glitter. It's a beautiful day. But it doesn't make you think. It doesn't make you question your own life. And it sounds like Raven's Tears makes you question your own life and go, what kind of decisions have I made? Could I end up here? And then it makes you want to read them some more to see, well, let's see if I did end up here, what would happen? And it just not brings you into the character story, it brings you and your whole life as a person into that, because those are situations that people find themselves in all the time.
Yeah, what occurred to me as I was listening to you say that was that my experience with some other fantasy worlds has often been that the fantasy obscures the humanity of the characters. And I think that with Menelon and with the characters in Raven's Tears, we hope that is not the case. That is the opposite of what we would want,
The idea here is Raven's Tears, is the Raven and Iris trilogy going to be of interest to people who like the game online or, on like Roll20? Yes, I'm sure it will. The other thing, we're storytellers. And it's the story that is the thing. And you can meet that story like in any well-written book where you're at. If you want to examine your life with it, sure. If you just want to have fun with Vincent and Angelique, well, you can go on that ride too, because there is a whodunit and there is a lot of action in the book. It's a love story, yes. Is it an action book? Yes, at times it's that too. Is it a whodunit? Yes, it's that too. It's a lot of things. You can meet it where you want to meet it.
But the main thing that you're telling me is, going back to psychology, your book, in a way, can adapt to more than one type of person and more than one type of mentality, which I think is great because obviously we're all different and things can be taken many different ways. And I like the fact that your book can be adaptable to many different people, which I think is great because it's nice when individual people can make an individual opinion or thought process to certain books.
Sure, I think that's true of any good writer that is writing a story that reaches out and grabs you is like that. Because human mythology, human psychology, and life meets us where we're at, not the other way around. Or maybe we meet it where we're at.
Yeah, there you go.
But you know, and if you're a good storyteller, those are the kind of stories you're going to tell. You're going to tell a story that talks to people over time. Look at how many decades have we been reading or watching A Christmas Carol, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just for the ladies. And Dickens wrote that in the 1850s.
That's true.
And it has been adapted by every generation. We decided to do something with it. And because that's the way we do things now, but it's been done and redone. And every time it's told to the modern generation that's going to watch it. That's good fiction.
Absolutely, 100%. I love your perspective on that. That's fantastic. And to me, that speaks an author who has dynamic and more dimension than just like a one-trick pony. And so I love that. I love what I'm hearing, and I can't wait to read the book. Now you said there's a trilogy. I'm sorry?
It's a trilogy with an option.
What?
Very long appendix or epilogue.
It sounds like it's a timeshare book with an option to buy. It sounds like you just said to me. Oh my goodness gracious. So when will the second book come out? The first book is out. When can we expect the second book out?
Spring.
Spring? March. Excellent. Now I'm sorry?
The name of the second book will be Dead Man's Trigger.
And we're probably, for the end of the year, I'll have the page up on the website. The cover's already done and everything, so I'll have it up there anyway.
Where can people find your books? Where can they go to purchase them and read more about them? And, you know, maybe do you have a link where readers can contact you specifically?
They go to our website, medicorepublications.com, and they can order the book directly from us. The book comes out on the 15th. They can pre-order it right now. And it'll be on our website. There's a contact information on the website also. There's a wiki on the website for all this stuff we've been talking about, the world of Mentalon. And if you buy the ebook, there are links right in the ebook that will take you to the wiki. So that if you want to dive in behind the scenes and learn a little bit more about the world of Mentalon, you can. It's your calendar, it's there. You want to ask if it's see a phone wall, it's there, et cetera, et cetera.
So people can also be interactive along.
They're all designed to be interactive.
Yeah, in fact, I've got a novella I've got to put back. I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting links in there that will then take you to the wiki and you can go and read more about where the action is taking place in the novella.
Or if you don't know what a word means.
Or, you know, we do have special words in these books. It's not Earth.
That is so awesome. I love the fact that you have these for your readers. I think it makes your books just that more awesome, that, you know, there's they can actually take part in all of this, and that's fantastic. Now, I want to invite you guys to be a part of our Author's Corner on our DTM page, where people can go and they can get links to your website and links to where they ever can find the book and a description of your book as well. And you will be up there posted with some wonderful other authors as well. If that's something you'd be interested in, we'd love to have you on there.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Awesome, yay!
Back around on the interactive information just a little bit. The other thing that we really hope to see is for people to engage with the world of Mentalon and the books and write fan fiction.
Write fiction based in the setting.
Definitely big part.
We are not doing this just for us.
No. If you write something and it's absolutely fantastic, and we think there's nothing outside of our niche in the world of Mentalon, which will be relating with our readers, I'm sure. Hey, we'll authorize it. You can put it up on Amazon on your own, which, by the way, our books are obviously up on Amazon, but everybody else is on the planet.
Yeah, the indie publishers. I'm not sure what everybody else feels.
Oh, my gosh, you guys are cracking my ribs. This is crazy. I love it. You guys are so awesome. You guys are so awesome. And I encourage everybody to go to Amazon. Now, what is your website? Can you give us the URL for your website so people know where to go, even before it's on the office corner? Excellent, excellent. So everybody go there, go look at the website, go to Amazon, buy the book, and pretty soon you'll be able to go to www.dtmwickedradio.com and click on the office corner, and you'll be able to find Mike and Alicia Matson's Ravens Tears on there as well, and a link to all their websites. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on, and we've got to have you back on, especially when we talk about the second book. I want to talk more in depth when we have a better connection about Ravens Tears. And, you know, if there's other projects you have going on, I want to know about them too. And I want to thank you so much again for coming on the Wicked Edge. You guys have an open door. I want you back on, and I can't wait to have you back on.
Well, we can't wait to. This has been fun, Tiffany, and Michael and I are both glad that you guys hung through the storms. And oh my gosh, that thing with the internet was going out just yesterday. It went out, and it came out just as you and I were texting. It was awesome. So,
but you know what? That was a sign. That was a sign today was supposed to happen one way or another.
We really appreciated you guys hanging with us. So that was so cool.
Hey, you know what? You guys are part, now that you'll be on the office corner, you're part of the DTM Wicked Radio family, and we're happy to have you. And I can't wait to see your book grow and flourish and, you know, get it out to all the listeners. You guys are amazing, and I'm so thankful to have you on my show. I'm thankful to have met you, and I can't wait to have you guys back on again.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Michael and Alicia. This is Michael and Alicia Matson, and they have a book out called Ravens Tears. It's going to be a trilogy. You can find it on Amazon. You can go to the website, publications.com, and then you'll be able to go to www.dtmwickedradio.com and be able to click on the office corner and get all the links there. I want to say thank you to everybody. You guys stay safe out in California with your rainstorms. New York, stay safe with your snowstorms. And remember, everybody, spread love, not hate. If you guys can just hold on the line for just a second.